Good evening everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Inga and today I want to tell you about my challenge that I have set for myself this year. If you've not seen my 2026 goals setting, journal planning extravaganza video, you won't know what this is about. So I'm going to tell you. I mean, the whole point of this video is to tell you about that goal anyway, but if you'd like to see more about what I'm going to be doing this year in terms of reading, I will leave the video linked up here, and you can go and have a look at it. But in terms of my challenge that I've set for myself, which you may have been able to tell from the title, was that I want to read 26 classics this year, and those 26 classics are going to be a classic for every letter of the alphabet. So I've decided to go with the author's surname because I thought that would be the easiest way of defining this. So I have selected a classic author and a specific book by that author for every letter of the alphabet, which I plan on reading this year. And so I thought I would give you a rundown of that list. So I don't own physical copies of all of these books yet. Some of them I have on my e-reader, and then some of them I still need to get a physical copy of. Some of them are currently on their way to me, hopefully. Hopefully. But I have a collection of them here in front of me, and then I also have a list on my computer of the rest of them that I still need to get a copy of. So, starting off with the one that you absolutely can't see. Actually, in this light you can kind of see it. So this is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. As you can see, there's already a bookmark in it. Since we are a couple of days into the new year already, I have started reading this one. So far, it's interesting so far, but that's my letter A. Then, for B, I have The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Brontë. You'll see that most of the books on this list are quite short, and as I picked up The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, I realized it's quite big, and I thought to myself, why have I done this to myself? Why did I decide to pick a book that is almost, actually more than 500 pages long? Brilliant. Why did I pick a book that's more than 500 pages long for this? I don't know. Also, it's the second book I have to read, and it's 500 pages long. So I'm gonna have to exert all my powers of reading to finish that one in a timely manner. Then for C, I have And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. For D, I don't have the book yet, but it's on its way. I have The Lady of the Camellias by Alexandre Dumas. That is on its way to me. For E, I have selected The Lifted Veil by George Eliot. I believe it's a short story, and I have a copy of it on my e-reader. Then, for F, I have F. Scott Fitzgerald's This Side of Paradise. That one is also on its way to me, and will hopefully arrive at some point, because that one is the one that I am most skeptical of whether it's actually going to be delivered or not. Then for G, I have this book that I really did not realize was going to be so small when I ordered it. But nonetheless, it is Greengage Summer by Rumer Godden, and I somehow stumbled upon this book. I don't actually even remember how, but I stumbled upon this book somehow, and I thought it sounded like an interesting premise, and so I added it to my list. But before then, I'd never heard of this book before. I had never heard of this author before. So this is something completely new to me, and I'm actually quite excited about it. I'll bring the cover a bit closer to you so you can actually see. Yeah. Next up on my list is my disappointing ordering experience, which I will not go into again now. If you want to know more about that, I did a book haul of all the books that I bought recently, or that I bought at the end of last year, and I go on to a whole tangent about this book specifically because I did not get the cover that I wanted. But anyway, I have The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. For H, if you couldn't tell. Then for I have A Pale View of the Hills. Hills? Since when am I Australian? I have A Pale View of the Hills by Kazuo Ishiguro. Kazuo Ishiguro. There we go. Finally said the whole thing right. Anyway, then, moving on swiftly, we have Dubliners by James Joyce with a very confounding cover that you can't really see because the lighting is not great. But it's really beautiful. This is my favorite cover, I think, of all of the books that I have here. Next up, for K, I have Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. Then we find ourselves again at a slew of books that I do not yet own. I have ordered Picnic at Hanging Rock by Joan Lindsay. Hasn't arrived yet. Next up, I just confused myself there for a second. Next up on my list is Sula by Toni Morrison. Then, again a book I don't have, it is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. Then next up I have Animal Farm by George Orwell on my list. This one I am specifically going to be listening to as an audiobook because the book podcast that I listen to, Books Unbound, one of the hosts, it's her favorite book, and so on their Patreon, each of them have read a book. I think both of them have read their favorite books, to be honest, in the form of audiobooks that you can listen to as one of the perks of being a patron. So I'm specifically going to be listening to that version of Animal Farm. Next up, I have The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. Finally getting around to reading this one. I've had it on my bookshelf for years. So now I'm finally getting around to reading it. Then, the next one was a little bit of a... It was a bit difficult because I could not immediately come up with a name or surname of an author that I know whose name or whose surname starts with Q. I have since been informed by a lovely viewer of my 2026 goals video of two authors whose surnames do start with Q. The original book that I had picked for Q was Quicksand by Nella Larson, so I went with the title of the book starting with Q instead of the author because I couldn't think of an author whose surname started with a Q. But since having been informed, I have now got Exercises in Style or Zazie in the Metro by Raymond Queneau. He's a French author. I have those two as options on my list. Actually, I have those three. I still have Quicksand as an option because it all depends on which of the books I'm able to get my hands on. Because I still need to purchase the Q book. For R, I have Anthem by Ayn Rand. This book I own, but it's in South Africa. So hopefully, in the event that my mom does come to visit this year, I will ask her to bring the book along for me. Then next up on my list is Much Ado About Nothing by Sir William Shakespeare. That is my S book. For T, I have picked Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. That one I also don't own yet. I still need to get a copy of it. For U, I have The Witches of Eastwick by John Updike. I also still need a copy of that one. And for V, I have selected God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater by Kurt Vonnegut. That one I have an ebook version of on my e-reader. Then for W, if you have been watching my videos for any length of time, I don't think you will be surprised to find who I have picked for my W. But of course, Virginia Woolf. Of course I've picked Virginia Woolf for my W author. Who else would I pick? The only other person I could have picked, would have been Evelyn Waugh. So obviously I picked Virginia Woolf because I have two of her books on my bookshelf currently. I have To the Lighthouse and then I have Orlando, which is the one I picked to read. I'm hoping to get to the Lighthouse at some point this year as well. But we'll see how that goes because I have many aspirations of all the books I'd like to read this year. And I'm not reading fast enough to, I think, meet those aspirations. But anyway, for X, I have a copy of The Memorable Thoughts of Socrates by Xenophon, who was a Greek philosopher, historian, possibly, I think, maybe. He also, my initial book that I wanted to read by him was A History of My Times, but the physical copies of that book are so exceedingly expensive in Germany, if you can get them, and if you do get them, you have to get them secondhand, because I couldn't find new copies of that book anywhere. And I also couldn't really find e-book versions of the book for some reason that I can read on my specific e-reader. I think you can find them on Kindle and on the Kobo app or place where you can buy books for your Kobo. I don't own a Kindle or a Kobo, so I can't. Anyway, so I found an ebook version of The Memorable Thoughts of Socrates instead. Also helpful for me because it is shorter than A History of My Times, so that is actually a good thing for me. Then, next up, a very, very, very short book. I have A Terrible Beauty is Born by W.B. Yeats for my Y book, and then rounding it out with Z. I don't own this book yet, but I want to read Dead Men Tell No Tales and Other Stories by Emile Zola for my Z book, or my Z author, I should say. So that pretty much sums this up. I didn't realize when I made this challenge for myself that I would be reading 26 books in 2026. That was an absolute fluke. That was unintentional, but there it is. It's there now anyway. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna read 26 classics in 2026. Probably gonna end up reading more classics than that because I have a lot of classics on my shelf right now and I'm quite excited about the majority of them. So yes. Anyway, thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you all again very soon with another one. Cheers!